Why is the Republican Party considered toxic to so many black people in the USA? The answer is Barry Goldwater. The first presidential candidate Hillary Clinton volunteered for was Republican Barry Goldwater. In 1964, when she was in high school, she was a young Republican and attended the 1968 Republican Convention. Pretty much everyone, including Martin Luther King Jr., Roy Wilkins, and Julian Bond, is willing to concede that Goldwater was not personally bigoted, but his vote against the 1964 Civil Rights Act would speak for itself, even if Goldwater didn't speak for it. The Supreme Court decision is not necessarily the law of the land, he said in 1964, and he said likewise in 1960, describing Brown versus Board of Education and allied decisions as abuses of power by the court. Goldwater declares that politics needs to take into account the essential differences between men. It would make everything I worked for meaningless if baseball is integrated, but political parties were segregated, Jackie Robinson said. Still, by the end of his life, he believed that backing Richard Nixon in 1960 was not one of my finer decisions. Robinson was disturbed, though barely surprised, when 4 years later, the GOP made a hard right shift to nominate Barry Goldwater for president. 2 years before, Goldwater, who'd broken ranks with his fellow conservative, Republican Senator Everett Dirksen, in opposing the 1964 Civil Rights Act, urged his party to stop trying to woo black voters and instead go hunting where the ducks are, meaning the party should recruit disaffected Southern Democrats. During my life, I have had a few nightmares which happened to me while I was wide awake, Jackie Robinson wrote in 1967. One of them was the National Republican Convention in San Francisco, which produced the greatest disaster the Republican Party has ever known. Nominee Barry Goldwater. Robinson, a loyal Republican who campaigned for Richard Nixon in 1960, was shocked and saddened by the racism and lack of civility he witnessed at the 1964 convention. As the historian Lee Wright Rigueur describes in The Loneliness of the Black Republican, black delegates were verbally assaulted and threatened with violence by Goldwater supporters. William Young, a Pennsylvania delegate, had his suit set on fire and was told to keep in your own place by his assailant. They call you nigger, push you, and step on your feet, New Jersey delegate George Fleming told the Associated Press. I had to leave to keep my self-respect. Both Donald Trump and Barry Goldwater garnered support from white supremacists, including members of the Ku Klux Klan. Both held events where black attendees faced verbal and physical assaults, and both were opposed by powerful elements within their own parties. More specifically, Trump's closed border approach to immigration and Muslim Americans reminds some of Goldwater's opposition to the Civil Rights Act and Brown versus Board of Education. Those positions damaged the GOP's relationship with generations of minority voters, especially black voters. Many Republicans fear Trump could similarly damage the party's relationship with Latino voters. Barry Goldwater is why the Republican Party is considered toxic to many black people in the United States of America.